What is going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome into another Knicks Nation live stream on this Tuesday evening. Appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in tonight. Have some Knicks news for you guys. Obviously, we'll get to a little bit tonight. Mike Brown has spoken. He has given his press conference. He said a lot of good things, a lot of positive things. It was a good press conference. And I really like what he said in the press, a few things that he said in the press conference, and then he used the term evolving a lot. So we'll got some audio for you and some video that we'll react to, and also some Rick Brunson news coming out from the New York Post from Stephen Bondy. Rick Brunson is going to take a lesser role next season on the New York Knicks bench. So a lot of stuff to get to tonight. Stephen Bondy, I believe Stephen Bondy is from the New York Post. Yeah, the New York Post. So if you wait for more of you guys to trickle in here, and then we'll get to the Mike Brown audio and video. But once again, appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in tonight on this impromptu live stream from me. And as always, slow summer thus far. Obviously, we got the NBA Summer League coming up soon. We get to watch our sophomore Knicks play in the Summer League, and we get to watch, just some Knicks basketball going on in Las Vegas, and I'm excited to watch that. Again, first game is against the Detroit Pistons, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Nostalgic, what's going on? Appreciate you in the chat. Nostalgic, always hopping in here, always one of the first people in here. Nostalgic, really appreciate you hopping in here. Appreciate the support, Nostalgic. Well, always one of the first people hopping in here. Once again, this was scheduled for 9:30, so I'm a little early. Better early than late, right? I told you guys I was back. I told you guys that you're gonna start to see a lot of content coming from me, and I'm just, grateful for every single one of you tuning in. So Mike Brown spoke, and look, it's a press conference, right? I thought he had a very good press conference. He didn't lose a day. Very well spoken. I just don't put that much importance on press conferences anymore. It's a press conference, right? I mean, we can go down the list about how people have won the day and ultimately they haven't performed in their role. So Mike Brown spoke, said a lot of good things, and also had a private interview with Alan Hahn that we do not have the audio, but we have some quotes in that interview. And he actually went more into detail regarding the New York Knicks personnel. He spoke about Jordan Clarkson. He spoke about Yabusele. He spoke about playing fast, right? He spoke a lot about offense today. A lot about offense. So it looks like the New York Knicks are going to lean into the offense. He spoke a lot about his wings. It seemed like every time somebody brought up the wings, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, he got excited. So you can either read into that one or two ways, that there's no trades coming and this is our team, which I think is the route that we're going to take as the summer progresses and as it comes to an end and as we get into training camp. I think this is the team. I think obviously we have one more vet minimum contract to sign, but love some of the things Mike Brown spoke about, and let's get to some of the audio and then we'll just react to it on the spot. So Mike Brown spoke. Let me shut off this music really quick. Let me share my screen. Mike Brown. So Mike Brown's first words as a New York Knicks head coach, right? Gave me goosebumps, kind of.
A sustainable, winning culture that produces championships. That's why I'm here. I'm fortunate to know what it takes to create that success. A lot of hard work, a high level of commitment, and a focus on today. A sustainable winning culture.
A sustainable winning culture that will bring multiple championships to New York City. Then he says he's fortunate in knowing what it takes. Obviously, he has won championships as an assistant head coach, most recently with the Golden State Warriors. The credibility is there for Mike Brown. Once again, won the press conference, in my opinion, but those were his first words as the New York Knicks head coach. And I love it. And as we transfer over to what Mike Brown said about evolving, which we'll play in a quick second.
I'm sure you guys.
Let me just get this audio right.
Feel it too.
For you guys. JG, what's going on? Wondering if that vet minimum signing may be CP3. That possible? JG, it is possible, but I do not think it's going to be CP3. JG, appreciate you hopping in here, JG. Yeah, so Mike Brown spoke about evolving. You know, something that Tom Thibodeau rarely did, evolve. Didn't use his bench, didn't go to his rookies, spoke about evolving a lot. And here's Mike Brown speaking about evolving.
If you don't evolve, no matter what profession you're in, I'm sure you guys feel it too, especially some of you guys that have been around for a long time. Okay, I'm not going to say any names. I'm just pointing out that way. I'm not saying any names.
You see the personality. I like it.
But for some of you guys that's been around a long time, and you feel the young bucks, I'm not pointing it or saying it, you feel the young bucks clawing at the back of your heels. And so, you know, learning, growing, evolving throughout the course of your time of where you're at is something that I'm a firm believer in. And I can't just pinpoint one thing, but I know I appreciate my time in Sacramento. I appreciate the fans there, and I appreciate the opportunity that Vivek gave me to run his team.
So he says if you don't evolve, then you're doing something wrong. You got to evolve in today's NBA, right? You got to evolve. And he took his time in Golden State, transferred it over to Sacramento. Obviously, he got fired in Sacramento. But evolve is one of the words that obviously I like to hear. And look, it's just words. It's just words, right? I mean, actions speak louder than words. What do your parents always tell you? Your grandmother when you're growing up, your grandfather, your mom, your dad. Actions speak louder than words. Right? You always hear that. So you want to see this implemented on the court. We will not see it, guys, until October, November. So, but I just love that he's saying it, right? I mean, to me, he said all the right things. Say what you want. I see El Figgy in here. It says, not loving this. He sounds more like a politician than a head coach. So far, I give it a B-. Sorry, but I'm not sure. El Figgy, look, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, it's your opinion. We're all entitled to our own opinion. And then look, like I said, to open up this live stream, there have been many cases of coaches winning press conferences and absolutely shitting the bed. Right? Many cases. You can't really lose a press conference, right? You can't lose a press conference. But I just love the way the tone he set. And again, his private interview with Alan Hahn. I don't have the audio, but we have some quotes. Spoke about the roster, spoke about the personnel. And he spoke about evolve, and he spoke about the offense a lot. Right? Seems like the New York Knicks are going to lean into offense a lot this coming year. They're going to lean into their offense a lot. And I like what I'm hearing. But like I said, we won't know until it's go time. Right? All right. So more Mike Brown audio.
And passionate.
All right. More Mike Brown audio. So this is Mike Brown speaking about the New York Knicks franchise, opening it up his presser.
You talk about a historic franchise. Madison Square Garden. It's iconic. Our fans, they're the most knowledgeable and passionate probably in all of sports. There's a lot of work to be done. We have an outstanding roster.
Interesting says that there's a lot of work.
What they did.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Is there?
In the playoffs shows their potential. I've had great conversation.
In the playoffs, they showed their potential. There's a lot of work to be done. Maybe he sees another level that this Knicks team can get to that he clearly hasn't said yet.
For all of our players. And I'm looking forward to growing positive, strong relationships with all of them over time.
You know, you can't really take too much out of these press conferences, but that last line there, guys, let me tell you why that's so important, right? Growing positive, strong relationships with the guys. Why did Tom Thibodeau get fired? Why? Players did not like him anymore. It got stale up in there. It got stale up in Tarrytown. It got stale up in MSG. The relationships weren't there. Today, Alan Hahn said on his show that Tom Thibodeau didn't really listen to his assistant coaches. It got stale over the years. He was too stubborn. So Mike Brown comes in. He says, I like the direction of this team. There's a lot of work to do. I'm going to build relationships, right? You can't take too much out of these press conferences, but you could take little bits and pieces because sometimes they give you some information. He says, I'm going to build relationships. He said in the press conference he has reached out to every single Knick to form that line of communication already, which we love to hear. Tom Thibodeau, on the other hand, got fired because the players did not want him to be the coach anymore. That simple. Right? If it was up to Leon, I'm pretty sure Tom Thibodeau would be up in that seat. But they had exit meetings, and the players did not want Thibs because of the communication, the stubbornness. Sometimes all you need is a new voice. And that's exactly what the New York Knicks have. And like I said, some interesting words from Mike Brown. You can't really take too much out of it. But I'm like what I'm hearing. Once again, appreciate you guys in the chat. Eddie, what's going on? Appreciate you in here. El Figgy says, I will reserve my judgment. Otonio, what's going on? Appreciate you in here. Just chopping it up, going over this Mike Brown presser a little bit. Once again, Mike Brown named New York Knicks head coach today. Leon Rose did not speak again to the media. I don't care. All right, so more Mike Brown sound. I know you guys love sound. And then we'll get into it. Here it is. I mean, it's the cliche stuff, guys.
And I'm passionate about coaching. I want to win. And, you want to be in a great place that has like thinking. And so I know for me, especially speaking with Mr. Dolan, speaking with Leon, and I have a history with Leon, knowing who he is as a person, knowing that I'd love to partner with him, and then looking at the roster. And the reality of it is, Rose said, we better move to New York because I'm a foodie. So when you combine all those things, it was a no-brainer for me. And
all right, so believe that's all the sound that I know sound is kind of boring and sound is kind of like I don't want to hear this again. Most of you guys have heard this already today, but obviously I wanted to get out the important stuff. And once again, there's some more quotes from Mike Brown that I do not have the sound for, but it's interesting and it involves the roster. And when he speaks about Jordan Clarkson and he speaks about Yabusele. So let's go. Come on, guys. Get excited. Come on up, Figgy. Come on. Get excited. Otonio, what up? Otonio says it's a new chapter in our Knicks organization. Hopefully he could take us over the hump and take us to the promised land. Trust the process, man. Yeah, trust the process. That's all we can do right now is trust the process. El Figgy says, I've become cynical over the years. The Knicks have beaten high expectations out of me over the years. 2 games away from the NBA Finals. Did that exceed your expectations? I know it didn't end the way we wanted it to end. But boy, oh boy, this upcoming year, Mike Brown talked about pressure. He says I know my seat's hot. I know I have a ton of pressure. And he says he puts high expectations on himself. Look, he said all the right things, right? He said all the right things that we wanted to hear. Right? So, yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. What I love is that he spoke about the bench. He said that Leon Rose in the front office, Leon Rose, really did a great job in improving the bench. He spoke about Jordan Clarkson. He spoke about Yabusele. He said this roster has another gear to hit. Once again, he spoke about offense a lot. He spoke about Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. He loves what they bring, the intangibles that they bring. Once again, spoke about just a lot of good things on this roster. We know this is a good roster. We know. Is Mike Brown the right guy to take this roster to hoist an NBA championship? So, we shall see. Wagwan says, can he play the youngsters consistent minutes? That's the question. I hope youngsters play in less than a week. LV Live, what's going on, LV Live? Appreciate you in here, LV Live. Just hopping on here, speaking about the Mike Brown press conference. Played some audio for you guys. Probably go over it later. Also got the Rick Brunson news that we'll get to. Rick Brunson reduced role. Uh-oh. Does it matter? Was it expected? But here we go. This is Mike Brown. Hold on, let me bring this up. Let me bring this up for you guys. Let me do the Safari. Hello. All right. So Mike Brown was speaking to Alan Hahn and said, quote, I like to play fast. We're going to try to play fast. We also want to play with a sense of physicality without fouling. Can this New York Knicks team play fast? Can they play fast? Can they play like the Indiana Pacers? Are they capable of playing fast? It's one thing saying you want to play fast. But let's face it, Jalen Brunson plays at his own pace and does a great job at it. Can a new coach come in here and really unlock this offense to a new potential? Mike Brown. Can he really unlock this Knicks offense and make it, if the Sacramento Kings a couple of seasons ago were one of the best offenses in NBA history, why can't this New York Knicks team top that? Why? Again, that Sacramento Kings team led the league in passes that year. Can this New York Knicks team play fast? I don't know. I really don't. I would be lying to you if, like, I need to see that. Like, I really need to see this Knicks team play, like, we've seen it a little, but not like the Pacers, right? We haven't seen them play on that type of speed. We haven't seen them really move the ball consistently on a consistent basis. We saw it a little bit early on last season. Then it kind of went away when teams started to put centers on Josh Hart. So, once again, he says, I like to play fast. We're going to try to play fast. We also want to play with a sense of physicality without fouling. Who's he speaking to? Mr. Cat? Mr. Karl-Anthony Towns. We also want to play with a sense of physicality without fouling. Hey, I'm here for it. Nostalgia says he ain't mentioned defense at all. He mentioned it, but he mentioned offense a lot, right? He mentioned offense a lot. He did talk about the wings defensively. Remember, in Sacramento, they didn't have wings. He wanted wings. He wanted wings in Sacramento. Speaking about OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, he got excited. He said, we have wings. This offense can get to the next level, the way Karl-Anthony Towns can handle the rock. He also spoke about Yabusele and the bench, who he really wanted to detail with that. This is from an interview with Alan Hahn. Mike Brown on Gershon Yabusele. He said he's so versatile. He could play the 4, the 5, and maybe the 3. I love that. I'm looking around all of NBA, YouTube, and Twitter, and they love the New York Knicks offseason moves. They love Jordan Clarkson. They absolutely love Yabusele, and so do I. But look at this improved bench. Yabusele at the 3? That's telling you that Mike Brown has already kind of tinkered with some lineups in his head. And it's true. He's versatile. 38% three-point shooter as a 6'8" bull is really nice to have off the bench, right? Really nice to have off the bench. So, JG says definitely Josh Hart if the team want to play fast. Yep. Antonio says Yabusele is a dog. Yes, he is. He is a dog. Mike Brown also spoke about Jordan Clarkson. And he said, quote, he's a better playmaker than given credit, end quote, on Jordan Clarkson. Look, Clarkson has always been known for the microwave scorer, the kind of like the tweener, not really a point guard, not really a shooting guard. Can't get hot, can't get really cold, inefficient from 3. But honestly, if you kind of look deep into his numbers, he is a better playmaker than what he's portrayed to be. And he is a veteran in this league. He's bounced around a lot. Obviously, Cleveland, LA, Utah. Like, he's been on a lot of teams, but he's a vet on this team. All you need him to do is coming off the bench and just do his thing, play make a little bit. And again, he didn't say much today, Mike Brown, but if you kind of read in between the lines a little bit, you can kind of see his vision. Right? The playing fast. They're talking about playing with physicality without fouling. Talk about Jordan Clarkson playmaking. Yabusele at the 3, 4, or 5. Talked about the wings. Talked about the line of communication with the players, which is vastly important. Right? Because what has Mike Brown kind of been known for over his stops is really having stale relationships. And it happens at times. It's the NBA. I mean, and even in everyday life, right? Sometimes you get tired of your boss after a few years in certain jobs and situations in life. But I mean, I if you read between the lines, he gave Tom Thibodeau his props. Tibbs did a great job, but he said this New York Knicks team, he says, quote, we have a lot of work to do. He said we have a lot of work to do. So a team that was 2 wins away from the NBA Finals has a lot of work to do, according to Mike Brown. So appreciate you guys in the chat. Once again, just going over some Mike Brown quotes. Mike Brown spoke today, and just, I think he did a great job in speaking. Look, it's a press conference. You don't really want to look too much into these press conferences. I don't really put too much importance in press conferences. You can only win them, in my opinion. The only way you lose them is if you just absolutely crap the bed. But I'm just excited that, today was a good day, right? I mean, today was a good day. He spoke about evolving as well. Something that Tom Thibodeau. Nostalgia says bench is tough. Yes, sir. Baga says, how you feel about the Knicks going after Marcus Smart? Baga, man, I would love that. If the New York Knicks can get Marcus Smart on a vet minimum, that will be the icing on the cake this summer, honestly. If you look at this squad from top to bottom with an addition like Marcus Smart, yeah, you're kind of thin at the center position. They would probably sign one of the rookies. But that would be amazing if they can get that done. But look, I think the Wizards right now have 17 players. So do they buy out a Marcus Smart? Who knows? But they were interested in Marcus Smart this past trading deadline. And if they can get him, that opens up a lot of possibilities for this team already. So, El Figgy says, people to Smith, Landry, Shamis defense. He harasses when needed. People to Smith, Shamis defensive skills. I like Landry, man. I like Landry. AP, what's going on? I like Landry. Do we have room for him? Is the question. I think it's a waiting game right now. I think they're waiting for that last spot. There's a bunch of free agents still on the market. They're waiting for the buyout market. You got Jordan Clarkson on a crazy nice deal. Maybe you can get someone else on a good deal like that, right? You don't want to. You don't need a rush. Trades happen. Trade just went down right now, right? Who got traded? I think the Spurs made a trade, if I'm not mistaken. Trades happen. It's the summer. It's early. Yeah. Kelly Olynyk traded to the Spurs. So, but Landry Shamet would be on the top of my list if I was putting together a list. Landry Shamet would definitely be on the top of my list. Vaga says if we stay healthy, we should make the finals. Yes. That's the hope. That's the hope. That's a high expectation, guys. And I know that's been like the rhetoric in these past couple of weeks. Like, this Knicks team needs to make the NBA finals at least. I agree, but it's so hard. Like, it's like anything can happen, man. It's so hard. But yeah, if you look at the roster currently, and if they add another piece, they should be top 2 in the East. And you know Cleveland will probably win a shit ton of games in the regular season. But the Knicks should be able to too, right? The Knicks should be able to. And they're right there on top of the East, if not number 1. I think they are favored to come out the East. So, Knicks, Cleveland. But there are other teams to worry about as well. But that seems like what everyone is striving for. Make it to the NBA Finals, and then we'll see what happens. That's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask. And I know you kind of you want to keep moving the goalpost, right? A couple years ago, you get knocked out second round, right? Last year, knocked out. Pacers knock you out last year, 2 years ago. This past season, Pacers, you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you beat Boston, Pacers knock you out. So next year, people are like, all right, NBA Finals time. Let's go. Nothing less. So we'll see. JG says Boucher. I think I was Boucher or Bouchard. Another wing. Big that could work as an free agent. Yes, he is. Horford on this team will be a good backup center. I think he probably is going out west, maybe to Golden State. Rasul says Orlando got a good team. Yes, they do. Orlando got a good team. Vaga says what scares me every time is Cat drives to the basket and gets on the floor, he might get hurt. Yeah, Cat is, dealing with he dealt with the hand injury, then the finger, then obviously his defensive woes, but I'm hoping that Mitchell Robinson alongside Karl-Anthony Towns, Mike Brown was actually asked that today, and he really didn't show his hand. I mean, he pretty much said that he'll look at everything and study everything, but he did talk about the bench, right? Talked about Jordan Clarkson, Yabusele. Didn't really talk about the starters that much. Talked about Brunson, about how, he's amazing, and, Cat and the wings, but yeah. L Figure says we have Mitch, Cat, and Huck Porty. We can all play solid. That can all play solid center. Yep. But El Figure, I said in the last live stream, Mitch and Huck Porty have an injury history, especially Mitchell Robinson. Huck Porty just dealt with the meniscus, right? That's really hoping that those centers will stay healthy, and especially Cat, right? That's really putting your eggs in, the training staff. Like, hey, give us another year of a extremely healthy season. That normally doesn't happen. Like last year was such a great year for us in terms of injuries, right? Knock on wood. I want it to be 2 years in a row, but guys get banged up, right? And the Knicks are kind of like thin at that position, especially if you start Mitch. Then you have Hukporti backing him up. Yes, which is what I would love. But, I guess we can deal with that when the time comes. So, El Figgy says Cat should be the 4 this season. Corey says salute. The NBA season is going to be crazy because no Tyrese, Lillard, Tatum. How do you feel about that, bro? Corey, yes. What's going on, Corey? Appreciate you in here. The New York Knicks should be able to win the East. That's how I feel about that. Yuri with the super chat. Appreciate you, Yuri. Thank you for the support. He says, I'm willing to run through a wall for Mike Brown and Leon I trust. But just because we are the favorites, Pacers is a threat. Celtics is a threat. ATL. Celtics, I looked at the Celtics roster and I was like, man, they have lost a lot of pieces. Like, their roster looks totally different than what we just played in the second round of the playoffs. They lost a lot of pieces. But yes, they're still good. Pacers, threat. They lost 2 big pieces. Turner, Halliburton, out, gone. Turner with the Bucks. Hawks are sneaky. You never know. James Najee can see minutes. Yes, he can. I like James Najee. Hopefully he can perform well in the NBA Summer League. Baga says the bench is vital because if they can maintain the lead, even keep the game close within reach, our starters can get lots of rest. My dream is for the starters to play under 38 minutes a game. That's the dream, right? That's the dream. So Mike Brown said a lot today, but he didn't really say much, right? Didn't really say much. Trying to see if we have any more interesting quotes. I'm passionate about coaching. I want to win. So do we all. Talked about playing fast. All right, here's the graphic that about the playing fast. So he wants to play fast, guys. And look, like I said earlier, the question begs, can this New York Knicks team play fast? I don't know if they can. Right? Ball dominant point guard that got better last year distributing the ball. Can he really unlock a new level this coming season? Does a hell of a job at doing what he does in Jalen Brunson, right? But playing fast, I want to see it. I think they can, but I want to see it. Joel, what's going on, Joel? Appreciate you in the house. Joel in the house. What's going on? Mike Brown, man, already liking to do it a lot. Appreciate you guys in here. Subscribe, like, all the good stuff. If you haven't done so already, just chopping it up. Not really much going on. All right, let's get into hit some comments before we get into this Rick Brunson stuff. So, El Figgy says, look, we didn't know what we looked like last year because we traded Julius and Dante, but now we know what we're working with. I think if Brown manages minutes, we are good. That is the main thing that a lot of people are going to look at, is the minute distribution, right? Yes, hit the like button. Appreciate you. Nostalgic. That's the main. What did people not like Tom Thibodeau for? Distribution of the minutes, extending his rotation, playing Mikal Bridges 48 minutes on a random night in February, which is ultimately what led him to get fired. Now, what Leon Rose has done is added 2 pieces off the bench that can put the ball in the basket and that can handle the ball. And I kind of like Jordan Clarkson. I go back to that Warriors team, right? Where they won the NBA championship in 2022, 2023 against the Boston Celtics. Mike Brown was on that staff. I kind of like compare Jordan Clarkson to the Jordan Poole that year. Because if you remember, Jordan Poole was coming in off the bench for the Warriors, starting a little bit, but was really a spark for the Warriors and really provided them a spark in some final games and in the playoffs. He was really like a offensive spark off the bench. And Jordan Poole doesn't play defense. And look, it's the Warriors. I get it. They have Draymond, Clay. But Brown has experience tinkering with a scorer off the bench that really is limited defensively. So I like that. I like Clarkson comparing him to Poole when they won that championship in, 2023 or 2022. I like that. So he knows how to utilize a scorer off the bench who's limited in defense. So now we add those two off the bench, and as the team stands, we're really guys, we're really good, man. We are. You mean to tell me if 30% of the team hated their coach and they were still 2 games away from the NBA Finals and the message wasn't getting through to them, and you fire the coach, now you're bringing a new voice with a bench, with the East becoming weaker and weaker and weaker, seems like by the day, right? It's crazy. The East is like, we should win the East. Like, we should definitely win the East. Again, a lot of stuff happens. It's more than just we should win the East. A lot of stuff has to happen for that, but we are the best team in the East. We should be, at least. So now you give him a bench on top of maybe another veteran who can get in here, and maybe I think this is your roster. I don't think they make a major trade. I think continuity is king. I think they love another year of Brunson, another year of Cat. You see them on Twitter and X joking around with one another. So I think they're going to stay. I don't think they're going anywhere. I like it. Yeah, Mitch ain't playing 82. Yabu Swelly, 6-man deuce breakout year. Robinson plays 82. Malcolm Brogdon will be a better pickup, says once a Knick, always a Knick. I like Brogdon. Thing is, he was hurt all of last year, right? All of last year. You don't know what you're really getting with him in terms of durability. So, but yeah, do you think Dante will come back to New York? From Corey in the chat. Of course, if Dante DiVincenzo was a free agent, I think he would want to come back to the New York Knicks. But I mean, he's not. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are, building something over there. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, so maybe they're telling themselves like another year of continuity, another year of playing with one another, and Dante getting comfortable and this and that. But I honestly think in the next 3 years, Dante DiVincenzo will be a New York Knick again. I just think like everyone wants it. The Knicks front office want it. Fans want it. He wants it. I think he will find his way back to New York. I'll just say that. Cat has to stop throwing his big ass on the floor every other play. Elfigan, Mike Brown would clean that up, man. Hopefully. He said line of communication. Build relationships with the guys. Cat got to cut that out. Is Precious gone? Yes, Eddie. I think Precious is gone. Maybe he goes to Indiana. That's been the rumor. So, okay. So this came out today. Mike Brown plans to give Rick Brunson a reduced role on the Knicks coaching staff per Steph Bondy. Quote, Mike Brown is expected to hire a new associate head coach, the Post has learned. A move that will change the dynamics in the front office, in the front of the Knicks bench by giving Rick Brunson a lesser role. Is this the beginning of the end for Jalen Brunson's father? It was always a tricky situation having his father on the bench and, a new coach coming in here and kind of having to be forced to keep him. I don't know if that's the case, but it seems like this is kind of like the beginning of the end for Rick. Maybe he lasts this year. Do you think Rick Brunson and Mike Brown would get along? I don't know. I really don't know, because Rick Brunson and Tom Thibodeau had history together going way, 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 way back. But this was bound to happen anytime you would give a coach the keys to the New York Knicks. That's not Tom Thibodeau. And look, Jalen Brunson will be fine without his father on the bench. I honestly think, like, if he's watching this, which he's probably not, I honestly think, like, if you're talking to Jalen Brunson, he'll be like, okay, like, my dad will be fine. I'll be fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You guys are making too much of a deal out of it because it's like a father-son type of deal. And look, if Rick Brunson gets canned or if Rick Brunson gets demoted like he did, everyone's going to ask, like, oh, how does Jalen Brunson feel about this? What is Jalen Brunson's feelings on this? And to be quite honest with you, I don't think he cares. I don't think Rick Brunson cares. I don't think it's that big of a deal to them. I don't. I think it's a bigger deal in the media. It's a bigger deal for us. But I thought this was interesting. This came out from Stephon Body, so I just wanted to get you this information. Rasul says Rick Brunson, new water boy. Uh-oh. Rick lets the coaches speak. Rick and Brown might not. How can a demoted coach give his best? Brown gets heated. Give JB whatever he wants to make him comfy. My man took a $113 million pay cut for his team, Captain Clutch. I don't think it's the end for him on this team. He will be back in a role he was when Johnny Bryant was here. Yeah, remember, last year they promoted Rick Brunson, right? Tom Thibodeau promoted him because Johnny Bryant left to go to Cleveland. And now you bring in a new coach. Bye-bye, Tom Thibodeau. It's being reported that Rick Brunson will take a reduced role. I think, like, this happens a lot in the NBA and on NBA benches. It's just not reported or a big story because rarely do you ever see a father-son duo on a bench. Like, rarely do you ever see the best player on the team in Jalen Brunson and you have his father on the bench and it's like a weird dynamic. Rarely do you see that, so I'm sure this happens all the time in the NBA. Maybe Rick was cool about it. He's like, all right, I'm cool. But I don't think this is big at all. But it's something to watch. It is something to watch because it is, at the end of the day, I mean, it is his dad, right? So we shall see. But nothing major. New coach must have a free hand. I'm like 98% Disrover. What's going on, Disrover? Appreciate you in the chat. I'm like 98% sure Rick was just filling in because Johnny left. We just need a couple of real assistants, but Rick can be there too for moral support. Could you imagine just having someone's dad on the bench for moral support? He does more than that. That's unfair to Rick. He's a good guy. He's a good coach. And he gets to Jalen Brunson too. And look, Jalen Brunson would be just fine, man. He'll be just fine if Rick Brunson was to go somewhere else. I don't think that's a big deal. Joel says, let's go Knicks. Can't wait for October. What's going on, Joel? Appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the supers. Talking about the New York Knicks, Mike Brown is officially the New York Knicks head coach. He spoke today, said a lot of good things. Once again, it is a press conference. We don't really want to look too much into it. But the word of the night, I think, is evolving. He said that this New York Knicks team can evolve, can take another step. Talked about communication. Talked about his much and improved bench in Yabusele. Talked about Clarkson. And he wants to bring multiple championships to the city. Multiple. Just bring us one. Can we not talk about multiple? Just get one. Like, we just want one. Like, we feel like as Knicks fans, this is the closest we've been in how long, guys? This is the closest we've been to an NBA championship in over 2 decades, right? Since the Knicks Spurs, closest. When is the last time we have went into a season with the expectations being NBA Finals? Last year was Eastern Conference Finals, and we didn't really know. The guys were thrown together before the training camp. It was kind of like a figure it out. And they did figure it out until it got stale real quick, until Mikal Bridges started speaking. Now you're bringing a bench, which is what we needed. You're bringing a new voice. You're bringing a new coach. On top of that, you got a depleted Eastern Conference. This is possibly going to be a special year for us. And buckle up, because we're ready. I'm ready. We don't need a major trade, man. Like, we don't. Like, we did our trades. Like, obviously we have the Mikal Bridges extension, and he became extension eligible yesterday. Him, Mitchell Robinson, and Karl-Anthony Towns became extension eligible. Karl-Anthony Towns became his extension, get this, 2 years. I think it was $150 million extension eligible for 2 years. Mikal Bridges, extension eligible. Do they extend him? It's $1 million question. That's the next domino, in my opinion. If you don't, I don't know. I think they do, though. I think they do. Appreciate you guys in here. El Figure says this is definitely the best / most complete Knicks roster I've ever seen in my lifetime. Yep. Most talented starting five. Now you add a couple of pieces off the bench. And if they can add another veteran, like maybe a Brogdon, or even some people have suggested a Ben Simmons, or even what has been flirted around these past couple of days, a Marcus Smart from the Washington Wizards. That will be a major summer for your New York Knickerbockers. A positive summer for the New York Knickerbockers. Your starters stay the same. You add Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup. Josh Hart off the bench. Your team just became deep. Right? Now you got to figure it out. And I think they will. You mean to tell me if no one liked the coach, not no one, 40% of the team didn't like the coach, and they were still 2 wins away from beating the Indiana Pacers? Guys, game 1. Like, that's it. That's it. Like, bro, 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, game 1 versus Indiana. I was like, I said, pinch me. Is this happening right now? The Knicks are going to the finals. And then, you know what happened. Once a Knick, always a Knick, says Rick wasn't doing anything anyway. Corey says no Ben Simmons, please. Nostalgic says Mikal set it off. Mikal knew that they traded 5 firsts for him, and they were like, yeah, I'm the captain now. I'm speaking now. Tom Thibodeau, I don't like this guy. I would love Mikal to stay long term. So would I. Yuri says just extend Mikal Bridges. Give the man his money. Give the man his money. We are expensive. You add Bradley Beal. No.
Bruh.
No. It would be like, look, Bradley Beal's a name. Like, he's a name. I know some of the analytic stuff. I know he's probably going to go to the Clippers or Miami. I'm not dabbling in it. I think the Knicks need a guard that can defend or a wing that can defend. They need more defense off that bench. or another big man. They need some defense now. A Brogdon, right? A Marcus Smart, man. Perfect, in my opinion. Perfect. We'll see if we can get him, but hopefully. Yeah, Yuri, I mean, you got to give him his money. And I am only says we are expensive. We are, but we're right up against that second apron, and we're not there. We're not there yet. And once you get in that second apron, that's when you start to demolish your team. I mean, look at the Boston Celtics. That's when, I mean, you pay a guy $20 million, you might as well pay him $40 million because that's how bad the tax is in that second apron. And you start to lose some stuff. So we are expensive, but we're really good. Like, we're really good. Right? We're expensive with Brunson taking a cap, with taking less money. Does Mikal take a little less money? I remember last year there was a report that said he might. Maybe the firing of Tom Thibodeau was to make Mikal happy. I don't know. I'm just speaking here. I'm just talking. Hey, Mikal, you didn't like him? He's gone. Now we're going to offer you an extension. What are you going to do? You going to take it? Got an article on the Knicks Nation Media website from Sarah. Once again, appreciate her for writing those articles. Check the article out if you guys haven't done so already. It goes over everything today on Mike Brown. Link is in the bio, knicksnationmedia.com. Just Rose says Kel has not earned his max. Excuses be damned. A lot of people feel like that, right? A lot of people feel like Mikal Bridges is underwhelmed in his first year. And what I would say to that, if you kind of look at the big picture, if you kind of look at the moments versus Boston, like, I don't know. For a guy that was figuring out a new role with a bunch of talent around him, I kind of like, I'm not going to say I would give him a pass, but in my opinion, he really like made his money in the playoffs. Don't forget the Pistons series as well. He had some big games, and I think some those games outweighed some of the bad Pacer games. So I think they extend him. I do. Baga says Mikal earned the extension after winning game 1 and 2 against Boston. We gives up 5 picks for 2 games. F those picks. Yep. I came on a post game after that game and said F those picks. Give them another pick. I can't believe the Brooklyn Nets took, what did they take? 5 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks, and they drafted every single one of them. But I'm excited, man. Mike Brown spoke. Obviously, it's a bunch of, coach speak, but I like coach speak. It's kind of dead around this time, and you're waiting for summer league, and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for the other signing, but this team is special, guys. This team will be special. David says, if the Knicks don't get Beal, then Marcus Smart is my second choice. What's going on, David? Corey says, how long have you been a Knicks fan? Since the mid-90s, Corey. Since the mid-90s. I've been a Knicks fan since the mid-90s. Since I was like 6, 7, 8. 7 or 8. So, not as long as a lot of people, but I bleed orange and blue. Love my Knicks. Thick and thin. El Figgy, well, at least we won't have to worry about the Nets for the foreseeable future. Yep. Exactly. When Mikal gets his AP says, when Mikal gets his money, and what will I do for payroll? When Mikal gets his money, and what will I do for payroll next year? Guys, look. Mike Brown's your coach. I know a lot of people are pessimistic. Some people are optimistic. Some people are, starting to get excited. And today, once again, some positive quotes from Mike Brown. Obviously, what else was he going to say? But in my opinion, there were some nuggets in his quotes. Reading between the lines, he spoke a lot about the communication, a lot about things that, quite frankly, we probably didn't have last year in terms of like player relationships and whatnot. And Those are the things that are very important nowadays is relationships, building relationships and evolving. So as Knicks fans, all we have to do is honestly just hope and pray that he comes up in here and he does a admirable job and he plays the bench and he utilizes the rooks and hopefully one of these rooks will pop off. And let's go. Let's go. It is July 8th, so I'm talking like the season starts tomorrow, but still got a ways to go. Just Rover says, I don't think we have to worry about the Nets in this lifetime. Rasul says, Smart too old, always get hurt. How old is Marcus Smart? Smart, I want to say he's old. He's 31. He ain't old. Jordan Clarkson's 34. 3 years older than him. Smart ain't that old. He's 31. Man. It's just the leadership. Like, I think Marcus Smart will bring a lot of what PJ Tucker brought, right? That veteran leadership, that the behind the scenes stuff that we don't see. And that's what attracts me to Smart as well. Is like the teaching the rookies some things, teaching the sophomores some things, and that's what attracts me to Smart as well. I mean, you can't get enough of those guys in your locker room, and he's hit some big shots in his career, and he can defend a little bit. Yeah, he's 31. Russell, he's 31. I think Mike Brown been studying the Knicks. He's going to make big changes. He said a lot needs to change. He said, that's what he said. He said, we have a lot of work to do. So I'm wondering what that work is, but I can't wait to see it. Once again, I just wanted to come on here and give you guys the information. And yeah, Mike Brown has spoken. And once again, I appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Let's go. Summer League is starting in a few days, and you know we will be live for that. Obviously, if new news breaks, we will be live for that. And let's go Knicks. But Mike Brown spoke. Love what I heard. But again, we will not know if those words mean anything until next year. So I'm okay. Like I'm in a good. We all should be in a good place right now as Knicks fans. Like, enjoy your summer. Like, we got a hell of a team, hell of a roster. Everyone's healthy. We got the rookies playing soon. The sophomore players playing soon. So, should be in a good place. The next news is the Mikal Bridges extension. The Mitchell Robinson extension. This roster could be different too. They could make a trade. Who knows? Right? Who knows? That's the NBA. But I think this is our team. Right? I think this is our main core, our main nucleus, and I love it. Absolutely. We should be able to win the East next year. Hit a couple of these comments before I head up and out of here. Once again, follow the Knicks Nation socials. Hit up the website. Appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you guys want to become a member, hit the join button down below. Appreciate all the support. Butch, what's going on, Butch? The Knicks can definitely win the Eastern Conference title with Coach Brown and the added players. Yes, we can. We don't have to worry about the Celtics or Pacers either. Couple of sneaky teams that I would worry about. How about the Miami Heat just getting that hell of a trade from Miami, by the way. Hell of a trade. Miami, I think they got a steal. Right? So I would watch out for Miami because we all know about Miami. They always come out the blue here and there. And I would watch out for Miami. They improved a little bit. They got better. I would watch out for the Magic. I would watch out for the Hawks. And Pistons. You think the Pistons improved? I don't know. Malik Beasley with his gambling situation. Oh, man. Durant going to Houston. Yeah, man, it's Cleveland. Lonzo Ball, I like that pickup. Pacers depleted. Bucks, I don't know what they're going to do. Pistons are getting some players back, but another year. They lost Hardaway. They lost Beasley. Jalen Duran may hit another gear. They're getting Ivy back. Duncan Robinson's a good pickup for them. Ausar Thompson, obviously. I think they'll still be dangerous. Not dangerous, but give you some issues. The Heat, Hawks. You think the 76ers, one team no one is talking about is the Sixers. And I don't know how to feel about them. Fascinating team. Fascinating roster. Right? Obviously, they have Embiid, Paul George. But this kid right here, man, Edgecombe, Maxey. Edgecombe is really good. I think he's going to be really good. So the Sixers are a dark horse, in my opinion. I know you guys, McCain, I know you guys call me crazy, but I don't know. If they bring back Grimes as well. Because Quentin Grimes is still out there as a restricted free agent. I just can't trust Embiid. What am I saying? F Embiid, man. It's always F Embiid. This Rose says Sixers are trash. They have nobody. Beasley and Hardaway Jr. were inquintessential to the Pistons. Yep. Pistons are still a threat. Appreciate you guys in here. Once again, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. Appreciate you tuning into this live stream. Once again, I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation. Thank you for giving your time. I'll catch you guys next time. As always, it's Let's Go Knicks. Peace.